Hi, do you want to go to a party with me?
No, the game's on.
Oh, I almost forgot. I'll be right there.
We like sports and we don't care who knows. From shooting hoops to the Super Bowl.
Welcome back to another edition of Ball Talk. I'm Aidan, and Luke's over to
Luke.
It's finally come. It's here. It's time. It starts this week.
March Madness, finally.
It has arrived, and we are both so pumped.
Beyond excited, honestly. Just way too excited for the season of March Madness because this whole NCAA season has just been everybody beating everybody and no one wanting to consistently win.
It's really true. It's been a really up and down season for like a lot of the big teams, and there's a lot of good lower seed teams that we're excited about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you look at, well, first off, if you want to talk about a little bit of a lower seed, Arizona and Kentucky getting a 4 and 5 seed in the same side of the bracket.
Who hates these two teams so much? They're like, no, and Virginia. Like, I feel bad for Virginia because they have to go through one of those teams. Just like,
oh, that's without a doubt the hardest part of the bracket. What is that? The South.
Yeah,
the South part of the bracket is just a gauntlet.
You're the number one overall seed. Let me put the SEC and Pac-12 champions in your bracket.
And in my opinion, one of the best, like, higher than 10 seeds is Loyola, Illinois, Chicago, the Ramblers. And they're in there too.
I mean, yeah, they're good. I just think Miami's got really good guards, and I think they'll come up during tournament time.
I think Loyola Chicago is just too hot. They've won an insane amount of games in a row. I can't even tell you how many, but they are just way too hot to be stopped.
I want to get there, but let's first talk about the teams that didn't make it. St. Mary's, Notre Dame, USC, my big three.
I couldn't agree more.
St. Mary's is top of that list for me. I don't care that they played in a quote-unquote weaker conference. They went 28-5, and were in the top 25 for most of the year.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that you talk about their conference because I was reading something about Gonzaga and how they're sitting on the 4 seed, and people are like, yeah, if they play in the Pac-12 or any other conference, they're 2 seed at, like, highest. And so you think of how that affected St. Mary's.
They've been in the top 10 all year, or like almost all year.
And the final AP rankings came out, and they were number 8, I think.
Yeah, and they're a 4 seed, which would put them in, like, the 13 to 16 range.
Yeah, like, how does...
What?
That just is mind-boggling. I mean, the West Coast Conference, just zero respect. I mean, St. Mary's, bottom line, should have been in. But I think they also got really screwed by Rhode Island losing.
Yeah, Rhode Island. People thought that was going to bump out Arizona State. And so there's this whole storyline of, like, Dan Hurley, I think it is, bumped out his brother Bob Hurley, who coaches at Arizona State. And it's just like this whole thing. And you see there's a video of when Rhode Island's watching the selection show. He, like, loses his mind when Arizona State gets in. He's just like, I didn't bump out my brother. Bobby can't hold this over me.
Yeah. Like,
they could meet in the Sweet 16, too.
They could. Wow.
It won't happen, but, like...
There's no way that happens, because if Arizona State somehow gets by TCU, they play Michigan State realistically the next.
Arizona State has to beat Syracuse, TCU, and Michigan State. Rhode Island has to beat Oklahoma and Duke to get to that point.
And
they have, like... That's, like, the toughest...
That's like the hardest like dream matchup to ever have to get through. Like you look at the other 2 seeds they could have played. Like if they're going through and playing like Cincinnati and then Tennessee, or
it's
Purdue
like more
and Texas Tech, then yeah, hey, maybe that has a chance. But you get stuck in the side with Michigan State and Duke. Yikes.
Yeah, that's tough. Like that's just like you feel bad for him because like you want the brother matchup. Like it's fun and it's exciting, but
yeah, you just don't think it's gonna happen. But then USC.
Just that's ridiculous. The fact that USC didn't get in and Arizona State is mind-boggling.
And UCLA.
I don't care. UCLA's in.
Yeah, I know, but like,
well, like I'd be like, they're the second. You're right. They were second in the conference. They made it to the conference championship game and lost to the conference champions, Arizona.
Understandably,
who were amazing. And Arizona State, who was like 8th or 9th in the conference, is like they're like, no, let's push them just because early in the season they beat Kansas and Xavier, who are both 1 seeds. It's like, well, you're pretty much putting them in because they beat 2 1 seeds when they were good. But the last like half of the season, they haven't been good. What we learned from this like selection is that they don't care how you finish the season because Arizona State, Oklahoma, like Oklahoma went 4-11 in their last 15 games. That's terrible. Like that's not good.
And lost to a lot of very like poor teams too when they went 4-11.
They lost to good teams, but they also lost to like really bad teams. Like there's nothing like the fact that they got in. Over Oklahoma State too, who like they lost to in the first round of their conference tournament. it's just like why aren't they in? It makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, just questionable committee decisions again. Like, this could be the storyline every year. But it's just these ones were just really interesting. And then the third team to get left out of your big three was who?
Notre Dame.
See, I personally don't think Notre Dame should have been in just because I didn't like their resume at all.
See, what I look at is if you're going to put, like, Texas and Oklahoma in there because pretty much they play the Big 12, essentially, you have to put Notre Dame in there because they play in a much tougher like, by far a harder conference and have more wins than them. So it's just like...
But I'm also on the side of Texas and Oklahoma both should not be in.
The problem is one of those teams is going to make a run.
Oh, yeah, they're both
They have
potential.
2 lottery pick guys that are like could just burst out in the tournament.
Yeah, and they could take over games either way. But I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I'm tired of also like the Power 5 schools. Like, why can't they drop to under 12 seeds?
Yeah, so like,
I get why. Because
I think part of it is like
the
now
small conference champions. I get why, but at the same time,
but then you get that as exciting like 5-12 matchups like San Diego State and OSU. It's like they're a team that might have been slipping a little bit towards the end. South Dakota State, not San Diego State. South Dakota State, who won their conference, they get the 12 seed, and that's how they build those 5-12 like upsets. Essentially, it's like they give like a really hot tournament, small tournament team that spot, and then they give like a slipping big team that the 5 spot, and that's pretty much how the NCAA builds like a 5-12.
I guess that's true. I mean, the highest ranking, like I guess you want to call them like small school, is the Loyola Chicago or Loyola Illinois Chicago, however their whole school is pronounced. The Ramblers. I'm just gonna call them the Ramblers.
The Ramblers.
The Ramblers. They're an 11 seed.
That's a good name for this podcast, maybe.
This is just all about the Ramblers. Yeah, I mean, you get them 11 seed against Miami, but like South Dakota State, honestly, 5 seed against Ohio State. I think South Dakota State could have been higher. Like, I know the other. I agree. The other 11 seed is who? San Diego State. Is that the only? Yeah, the only other for sure 11 seed San Diego State. The other 2 11 seeds are playing games. Mm-hmm. Where I understand they should not be in a play-in game. They won their conference, and they had a pretty good resume for a small school conference champion. But then, like, Oklahoma is a 10 seed. Like, you couldn't just flip them, 11-10. Or South Dakota State, who had a very good season as a 12 seed, couldn't flip them to a 10 seed. Because then I think in the second round it sets up bigger matchups. Like, if you say, like, San Diego or South Dakota State, okay, a 9 seed's pretty damn high for a small school. But a 9 seed, they beat the 8 seed, and then they have a 1 seed matchup the next round. That'd be dope.
That's exciting. Yeah, that's definitely exciting. Speaking of these 5-12 upsets, let's just go through all 4 of those. Disregard everything I just said about building a 5-12 up seed because like the NCAA was like, nah, but let's screw that when we put Kentucky in. Because Kentucky's actually hot right now. They won their conference tournament. They're a 5 seed in the South region, and they're going to play Davidson, who also just upsetted Rhode Island in their conference championship game to be conference champions. So the 5 seed here isn't a slipping big team. They're actually a on the rise big team, which I think is going to hurt Davidson. And I think Kentucky's going to win that game. Their point guard right now is just playing incredible.
I agree wholeheartedly. Kentucky, I mean, I said this last week, big proponent of people coming in hot and just staying hot. And Kentucky's about as hot as teams get right now. Davidson, I mean, I can't lie. I don't really know much about Davidson, but from what I've looked up, they don't really have any, like, really good athletic big men, which is what Kentucky can really get down the floor with. Mm-hmm. But then the guard play, the athleticism, I think Davidson's
just average. Like they're meh. Like they're
they're a small school guard play team. Like
I could see them beating like an 8 or a 9, some of those seeds.
I mean, I even think maybe against some of those 6 seeds too. But Davidson's matched up as 11, they probably win. But I think they get screwed. Kentucky,
that's just tough. Like, why would you put? That's ridiculous that they're a 5 seed, Kentucky. But
yeah, poor Davidson gets screwed.
In the West region, we have Ohio State and South Dakota State. Now, you're really big on South Dakota State.
I'm huge on South Dakota State.
I think that's really the hot pick for the 5-12 matchup. And I usually try to avoid the hot pick because I'm like, well, now there's just hype around. Like, people expect them to win now, essentially. Like, they expect Ohio State to lose. And I think Ohio State's really good. I think Mike Dom, who's, like, the leader of South Dakota State, their post.
The Dominator, by the way.
Dominator.
It's his real nickname is the Dominator.
Yeah. I'm not too big into 12 seeds being led by posts or, like, smaller schools being led by posts.
But he's not just a true post guy, too.
Well, no, he can stretch the floor. But the problem is Ohio State matches up really well with him. I think Keita Bates-Diop, who is just
a stud.
He's a stud. He's a great defender, and also can play from the perimeter and drive and hit shots. So I think Dom's not a good is got a disadvantage in the matchup there. I think he would have really need to come against a team that struggles with big man, and I don't think Ohio State struggles with big man. They struggle in guard play.
Yeah, and San Diego State, like, usually if you want to find a Cinderella team, you look for that senior guard who shoots like 40%.
Oh, yeah, you look for a team that just, like, absolutely, like, guard play-wise, they just have, like, one athletic guy who just carries them.
And South Dakota State, like, really looking at it, they didn't have that one guy who could just take over a game. Like, if Dom is struggling, because they usually have two guys. Like, if it's a Cinderella story, it's because they have two guys. They have two guys who are just going off in the tournament. And Mike Dom will probably have 25, but if another guy can't get over 10,
exactly, yeah,
then there's no shot. But I think Mike Dom comes out, and I think he handles his business, and then they get good supportive guard play, and I think South Dakota State takes down Ohio State. I really do.
I'm going to have to disagree there. I think Ohio State's going to get past that game. Now, here's where my team comes in, because everything you just said applies to this team. Murray State versus West Virginia. Murray State is led by Jonathan Stark, who plays 36 minutes a game.
Jesus.
And scores 21.8 points per game on 41% shooting from three. The guy is like a just offensive dynamite who, like, if Virginia can't handle him in the, like, contain him in the press, he's just going to go off.
And that's what has beaten West Virginia this year is, like, guards who can handle the press. Because, I mean, that's how West Virginia wins their games, is they press and their defense just wears you down, and then you just by the end you have, like, 20 turnovers, and they score off of that. But, I mean, yeah, if Murray State has that point guard who can run it through the press.
Well, the thing is, when playing 36 minutes a game, and he only averages 2.5 turnovers, which for that amount of, like, usage is pretty low. And so that will be really helpful against a press like West Virginia's. And so I like Murray State to beat West Virginia in that game.
Yeah, see, I'm sticking with West Virginia, as you like to call them, Press Virginia.
Press Virginia. If they would, I think
just they have what a trio of guards they play. I think three.
Yeah, they have like one
three
of the best
upperclassmen guards.
They've a really good backcourt, but I just think if they had won their conference tournament game against Kansas, their conference championship game, I would have had them going like to the Sweet 16 at least. I just don't see it now. That I think they're kind of going to be on a low. It's going to be typical West Virginia. They make the tournament, higher seed, but like they just can't perform.
Is Bob Huggins still the coach of West Virginia?
He really is. He also wears like this weird like sleeveless like short sleeve jacket thing.
Oh, I'm in for that then.
Like and now he like sits on the sideline. Like he has like a little stool that he sits on because he's too old to like stand forever or like, just too fat.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Ron Hunter thing. Like he's just not actually injured though.
Just that big now.
Yeah, he's just that big. And then our last 5-12 matchup in the Midwest is Clemson, New Mexico State. And I also am picking the 12 seed here in New Mexico State. I really like them.
I'm a big fan of New Mexico State.
They're like 28-5.
Dude.
Like, that's a tough matchup for Clemson, who's like just kind of struggling.
I mean, yeah, New Mexico State, like the big reason they've won so many games is like I was looking at their offensive stats are nuts. Like they have a lot of guys who score, not just carried by the two guys you need for a 12 or 13 seed to win a game, but they have like 3-4 guys that they go to score on a consistent basis, and it's just like, all right. Because while they have they have Zach Lofton, who's their guy, but then after that, they have 4 dudes who average over 8 points a game, so that means at any point you could get a good support from 2 to 3 of those backup. Or they're not big. Maybe they're starters, but those are like the supporting cast.
Cast, exactly, yeah.
And that's huge for a 12 seed. And while Clemson, like I actually watched a little bit of them in the ACC tournament, play good basketball, there's just nothing that stood out. Like they just looked like another good college basketball team, and that's who loses to 12 seeds. Is a good team, not like a team that doesn't do anything incredibly well.
So besides any of the 5-12 matchups, who do you like in any of the upsets? I have SF Austin beating Texas Tech. I just think they're like a fun tournament team. They've done it before. They have experience with that. The coaches know, and I don't love Texas Tech. I think they're okay.
I picked Texas Tech to win. I did think about this one. The only reason I picked them is because their stud, who like carried them for the entire beginning of the year, Keenan Evans, is back, and he had a little bit of a Michael Porter first game back.
Yeah,
he struggled, and I think they still ended up beating Baylor in the first round or something like that, or whoever they beat in their first game. Yeah, exactly. But still, like I think getting a win and getting that guy back on the floor, and then he's back, and like they're back to being the team that like dominated back at the beginning of the year when nobody knew why Texas Tech was good, and it was because of Keenan Evans. He's healthy. I think a 3 versus 14. I think one guy, I'm pretty sure he's a big forward, can take over.
Yeah. So I don't really consider any of these upsets. I don't think the 7-10 matchups are ever upsets. It's just it's another 8-9 matchup basically.
Yeah,
but I have
agree.
all the 10 seeds winning besides Oklahoma. I just realized that.
I mean, I definitely have Providence over A&M. I think Providence is
really good.
I'm actually complete opposite. I think I have every 7 seed besides Providence winning. But I mean, then again, the 7-10 seeds I haven't really looked into too much. But I was high on Nevada. Nevada had been playing really well for a really long time, then went and...
I think whoever wins that game beats Cincinnati.
I agree 100%. If it's Nevada or Texas, they're beating Cincinnati in the next round. Dude, and even Tennessee, like, I don't think Tennessee's a great 3 seed. But
I agree. I think they're okay. I mean, like, it's tough.
It's another, like, Tennessee's a 3 seed, and then the 4, 5, 6 seeds in that bracket are Arizona,
I don't think
Kentucky, and Miami.
Tennessee will not go farther than the Elite 8 at best. Like, they're definitely not going to make the Final Four. I don't think.
Whoever comes out of the Virginia, Kentucky, Arizona,
those 3.
Jumble.
Those
three are coming out of that bracket.
Yeah.
One of those 3, it doesn't matter which one of those 3, it's just going to be one of those 3 are coming out. I have Virginia just because I think Virginia's defense has just been dumb this whole year. But back to the upsets. Yeah. Rhode Island, I think, is just good enough to get by Oklahoma because if Trae Young struggles, Oklahoma loses.
Yeah, and he hasn't been good the last, 4 weeks of the season. So
Exactly.
I just don't see them being able to pull it back together.
And I'm not going to lie, a nice bias came out here when I was reading an article from, I don't even know who, on Bleacher Report. He was talking about how he was watching the Oklahoma State game, and Oklahoma just looked like they did not want to play.
Yeah. But
it's a conference tournament versus March at the same time, so it's like, but still.
I might be putting too much stock into this, but, this is why I was really torn up about the Houston-San Diego State game and also the Rhode Island-Oklahoma game. I was watching for, key things in terms of, when they showed the players' reaction to getting into the tournament. So if you didn't watch the Houston-Cincinnati conference championship game, Houston at the end of the game had a chance to go and tie the game, but their star point guard, Gray, turned the ball over because he didn't lead the pass right. He, threw the pass behind the guy and it went out of bounds. They cut to him many times throughout the rest of the end of the game, and he just, was beyond upset. You could tell it was eating at him, and then you watch his reaction getting in, and he's just kind of he's clapping along and stuff, but he's determined and focused, and that's why I didn't really want to go against Houston in that pick, but I did pick San Diego State. I like them to win that game because they're just a really good team. But also the same thing with Oklahoma. Trae Young was very much just locked in, and he wasn't even looking at the screen when, about if they got in or not. He was just so nervous, and I think this means a lot to him.
Yeah, and this was one I went back and forth on a lot. I got a day before I lock these in, and Houston is another team where there was one point in the season they were just dominating.
Yeah,
they were just quietly dominating. John Gray's a star.
Yeah, he's good.
He can take over.
Really good.
Then again, I do have Houston losing the next round to Michigan anyways.
Michigan's also just really hot right now. They've won the tournament.
See, that's another team I'm going with based on their hot, and they're finally hitting their offensive stride.
Yeah.
And this is a great time to click offensively.
Wagner is just been
he's been lights out. And then Michigan was already this whole season they've been one of the better defensive teams in basketball, but now that their offense is finally starting to click, So I think. But still, I have Houston over San Diego State because, I think John Gray, redemption game.
I think it'll be interesting to see how Trae Young plays in this game because it's the first time he won't be going against Big 12 opponents that are just, throwing everything at him.
True.
The last, second half of the season, that's, what happened. He was just getting, double-teamed and, trapped and just they were throwing the kitchen sink at him pretty much. And it was just, that's tough to deal with. Plus all the limelight, so you're just expected to be at such a high level. So I'm interested to see how he does in a different environment. But moving on from upsets and lower seed teams, what are some of the other matchups you like past the first round? So say second round, Sweet 16, Elite 8.
Well, I think one game I think everybody kind of agrees that they want to see is Kentucky U of A, second round in the South.
That's just
as a 4-5 matchup, Kentucky U of A. Are you kidding me? That could be an Elite 8 Final Four type game.
That could be two of those teams. either of those teams could go to the Final Four.
Yeah, and so like that game is going to be nuts. Can't wait to see that. And then whoever wins that game is probably going to get Virginia, unless Creighton. I mean, Creighton has two pretty
Creighton's
good players.
good.
Creighton,
and they'll be the most physical game Virginia's played all year.
oh yeah, and I agree. And don't be surprised if Creighton does beat Virginia. People, Creighton can play, but
They're good.
either way, like you can even say that like U of A or UVA, Creighton, and then UK Arizona, and then the winner of those two meeting
Yeah, it's crazy.
in the Sweet 16, and then they'll have to play some team I think will just blow out of the water in the Elite Eight.
I'm excited about two of the 1 versus possible 8-9 matchups. So I really want to see Xavier play Missouri.
Same.
Obviously, Michael Porter Jr. came back to his first game and wasn't very good. They lost. But he hasn't played, and so that's a big deal. And I think that one game back might be helpful, and we'll see in the first round. And then the one I'm even more excited about really is Villanova, Alabama, because Alabama, Colin Sexton could turn into the next Kemba Walker right now.
Oh, he legitimately could. I know one of my brothers, literally before college basketball even started, picked Alabama to go to the Final Four because of Colin Sexton.
I think that's a little.
Oh, that's what we've all been telling him. But now he's sitting here like, hey, like he just took him to the SEC championship game.
If they beat Villanova, he's on a good track.
Honest, if Alabama beats Villanova, I can't see them being stopped by any of the teams they'll play before the Final Four.
Yeah, he's just electric. He's just absolutely electric.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys in the March Madness that can just take over a game, and then but the difference with him and then some other players is he also makes his teammates so much better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like watching, whoever they upset to get into the championship,
Auburn.
Yes, and him and then their other big man who he just kept feeding with ridiculous passes. They torched Auburn.
No, yeah, he was ridiculous in the entire SEC tournament when they played. I think that's going to be a big test for Villanova, and I'm interested to see how they get through it. I think Villanova will eventually win because Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges will just be too much.
Yeah,
but
I agree as well. And then I legitimately think whoever wins that game in the round of 32 will come out into the Final Four from that bracket. Because Texas Tech maybe poses a threat, but Purdue is probably the most overrated 2 seed.
I think Purdue and Cincinnati are definitely the two worst 2 seeds.
I wouldn't be surprised if Purdue's the 2 seed to lose this year. But then again, they're playing.
And Cincinnati will lose.
Yeah, I'm just not
maybe not in the first round, but
Georgia State isn't very good, and Cal State Fullerton also not very good.
Yeah, I don't think they'll lose in the first round, but definitely second round upsets. I have both of them losing in the second round.
It's Cincinnati will either play Nevada or Texas. They're not. I don't think they win that game. And then Butler and Arkansas are both very good teams.
I think I have Butler going to the Sweet 16. No, I have Butler going to the Elite Eight. I have Butler beating Arkansas, then beating Purdue, and then I think they beat
either
Florida. I have them beating Florida to go to the Elite Eight.
I have Florida losing first round.
You do too?
Yeah.
Are they playing? Oh, UCLA.
Either UCLA or St. Bonaventure.
I have St. Bon winning that game.
I think St. Bon does too because their one guard, God, I don't remember his name, is probably one of the top 5 guards in this tournament that nobody knows about. He's an absolute monster.
Yeah, I haven't looked at St. Bon at all this year. A team I did look at earlier today was TCU, and they've been making me rethink my Midwest because another matchup everyone probably wants to see in the Sweet 16, Michigan State Duke.
Oh yeah,
the fact that Michigan State's a 3 seed still blows my mind because they've lost 4 games all year, and why is North Carolina a 2 seed if they've lost 10 games all year? But beyond that, I guess Michigan State Duke, a rematch of the third game of the season for them, is just an incredible matchup. But TCU, they could really upset Michigan State in the second round. They have 4 players that who average over 20 minutes per game that shoot 40% for 3 or higher.
Yeah, that's a big key to winning
the ball. Their leading scorer can also shoot the ball, and he shoots 34% from 3. So, in general, they can just flat out stroke it.
Yeah. See, it's funny that you bring up TCU because as 6 seeds, I have Houston the only one getting out of the first round. I think every other 6 seed loses.
You think every other 6 seed loses? I don't think. Unless Arizona State goes back to their first half ways, I don't see that.
And I think they do because ASU's back to playing non-Pac-12 opponents.
I don't think that.
See, no,
I don't buy into that.
I think it's ASU
I just think
playing
they were.
against people who weren't Pac-12,
I just think
and
they
I
were
think they get back to
I
it.
watched them play. I just think they were overperforming.
Hey, and teams do that in March all the time.
I just don't see TCU losing, especially if they play Syracuse. Like if ASU does lose that first game to Syracuse, which I think is a good matchup for ASU, just because they can shoot the ball well. And Syracuse playing a zone, they'll get a lot of chance to shoot the ball from
They'll
the outside.
get a ton of 3-point chances.
If Syracuse does come out of that game, that's a great matchup for TCU, who can shoot the ball even better. Like, you're playing zone against a team that has 4 guys that shoots over 40%. Good luck.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, again, I don't have any of the 6 seeds getting out of the first round. You're really big on Florida, and I think Florida's...
Not really big. It was more Miami that I was really big on. I got them mixed up, but I do like Florida. I think they just have a good route to for them.
See, and I have Florida playing St. Bonaventure in their first round, and the dude for St. Bonaventure, Jalen Adams, he's a guard, shoots 45% from the field and 45% from 3, averages 19 points.
Did not know that.
And shoots an 86% free throw. And then their next guy that they go to is Matt Mobley, 42% from field, 40% from 3, averages 18.5. So, like, they have their 2 guys that they need to dominate. And
I might have to switch that pick.
Jalen Adams will be one of the best players to watch in this tournament from St. Bonaventure. He's one of the best guards. It's like when Providence, they had that point guard. He was Chris Dunn. When Chris Dunn was with Providence.
Yeah.
And nobody really knew about him until he came out into the tournament, dominated, became like a top 5 pick, kind of blows in the NBA.
Not kind of. He's gotten better this year. But
he's done better this year.
Like, Chicago's tanking, so it's like, doesn't really matter, but he has definitely improved.
Hopefully, Jalen Adams is better than Chris Dunn in the NBA, but Jalen Adams is going to be another Chris Dunn where he can like take his team and take them on a little bit of a run. I mean, I don't have St. Bonaventure getting far, but I do think they beat Florida. And then, again, the Ramblers over Miami. We've already talked about that one. We'll talk about it again. Told you ASU over TCU. I'm really just picking ASU over TCU. I agree. If TCU plays Syracuse, see ya.
Yeah.
And then Houston-San Diego State is literally the hardest 11-6 one for me to pick because San Diego State's like the best 11 seed out of those ones, in my opinion.
I agree.
But Houston's also the best 6 seed out of all of those ones.
I disagree with that. I think TCU's the best 6 seed. Actually, no, just kidding. I think Miami's the best 6 seed. I think Miami is going to make it to the Elite 8.
I mean, I can see that because if they get past the first round,
they're set.
They don't have really anybody else to worry about. And then, do you have any double upsets in the double upsets like playing second round, like 12-13s or?
So if SF Austin and St. Bon win, I'm interested to see how that game goes.
I think St. Bonaventure will win again.
So
I'm a big Jalen Adams fan.
I think you're onto something, and I think I might have to go and change my pick there. But I'm trying to see if I have any double upsets. I mean, I have Butler beating Arkansas and Purdue. So
yeah, and those are pretty big.
I mean, it's just one upset really, because 10-7. But
10-7s and 8-9s. Those don't count as upsets, especially 8-9s.
I guess I have. Oh, I think I have Murray State beating Wichita State.
Yeah, you said you did.
I really like Murray State. When you have a guy averaging over 20, I like you.
Yeah,
I think
that's
as
fair.
like a lower seed. I think that's like a good sign for the tournament. But one thing we haven't talked about yet that we kind of touched on last week, but with a different team, is Ivy League matchup versus Kansas. Now,
16
let me just say
seed
this
versus the 1 seed.
Let me just say this: Harvard got absolutely screwed. 1 seed in the Ivy League tournament, yet they had to play on Penn's home floor for the championship game. Absolute malarkey, in my opinion. But
great word choice.
I agree. But they won, so be it. And then I was like looking at them, and I was like, if it were to happen, this might be the team to do it. I think there's a shot. I think it was definitely, we could see it being a game at halftime, and then what happens from there is up to luck. Like, I could definitely see Kansas just not shooting the ball well, and Penn just taking advantage of that and like shooting lights out in the first half, and it's a close game, and then just like we'll have to see from there.
The only thing that I would I agree. I guess I don't think Kansas will shoot very well.
I just don't think Kansas is that good.
I don't think so either. But then their big man, whose name I can never say,
yeah,
has been dominant though. Like in the Big 12 tournament, he was a stud. So it just depends. Like, I don't. Does Penn have a dude who can slow him down? Because if they do, then honestly, they'll give him a real big fight. Because I mean, the Ivy League always comes out and plays well. I don't know why and I don't know how, but just always comes out and plays well. And we both agree Kansas is one of the most overrated 1 seeds that have.
They're just always overrated. Like, they're just not that good. Like, their program's like always successful in the Big 12, and like I can't take that away from them. But I just think the Big 12 is overrated in general, and like in turn they're overrated in general.
Also, wait, quick stat with Penn that just looked up, noticed, is they have the second best 3-point defense. Their opponents only shoot 29% from 3.
I'm so excited. This is gonna be. I'm like, just give me that game and put me in like a steel box, and I'll watch that game like in its entirety and just like analyze every second of it because I'm just so excited for that game.
I am too. I mean, I can't bring it out to actually pick Penn over in a real bracket, but
you're weak.
I am weak with
You're
a
weak,
16
you're
over
scared.
1. I am terrified. Absolutely terrified to actually go through with that. But
No, yeah, me too. I didn't actually pick them in my bracket or anything.
God, I want to so bad.
I wanted to so badly. Like I was,
but
every bone in my body was just like telling me, do it.
also looking
it.
at Penn, the one time they played anybody relevant was Villanova, and they lost by 28.
See, but I think Villanova is like.
I think
miles
Villanova
ahead is better than.
I agree.
Kansas, but that was also probably early in the season, back November. Like,
yeah, it's in November.
they're a different team now.
Who? Penn, man, look out. I mean, that's pretty much all the crazy upsets. I mean, other than that, it's gonna be pretty straightforward. Like I think one team we kind of barely touched on was New Mexico State.
One of their starters shoots 51% from the. Oh wait, that's from the field. Just kidding.
That's still impressive. 51% from the field.
Yeah, just not as from 3.
No, if that was from 3, that'd be nuts.
That'd be insane.
But one matchup. Actually, I guess I'll turn this into 2 matchups I want to talk to you about was the New Mexico State Clemson and the College of Charleston Auburn. I have Clemson and Auburn both losing first round, setting up the always favorite 12-13 round of 32.
Exciting. Yeah, I have Clemson losing, but I don't have Auburn losing.
See, I'm
I
a
think
big
I have-
Charleston. Charleston's coming in real hot. Although they do turn the ball over a lot, but they've just been on a roll through tournament. I think they're something like 113 in the last 14 games or something like that. And again, big believer in you carry momentum from conference tournaments into March.
That's fair. Auburn had a big letdown in their conference tournament. I just think they won't be the ones to get upset. But I do see them losing in the second round to New Mexico State. I think I have that pick.
Which 4 seed do you see is the most likely to lose? The 4 seeds
Which
again:
4 seed?
U of A, Wichita State, Gonzaga, and Auburn. All very good 4 seeds, by the way.
Either Auburn or Wichita State. I think Wichita State is definitely overrated. I think they have been all year.
I agree with that, but the only thing that stops me with them is another senior point guard that it always seems if Wichita State has a senior point
I watched them
guard.
play the other day, and I didn't like him that much. I thought he was meh.
Well, I mean, that's just kind of like actually, no. I guess Baker and Van Vliet both were. Baker more so than Van Vliet offensively.
See, the thing is, my thing is he's too tall. When you
Really?
when you pick NCAA tournament teams, and you're looking at their guard play, it's never a tall guard. Tall guards never lead you.
Then
to places.
St. Bonaventure should be your team because Jalen Adams 6'2" and Matt Mobley 6'3", both senior guards.
Yeah, those are smaller guards. Whereas that one guy looks like he's 6'4" for Wichita State. He probably might not be, but Houston guards are just really short or something. But I think I was watching them play Houston or Cincinnati, and he was just I don't know. He wasn't very quick. I like really quick guards in the tournament. I think that's what wins you games. So
I
wasn't
agree.
huge on Wichita State.
Again, quick guards. Going back to Jalen Adams.
Okay,
I love
you've
him.
convinced me at this point, and I'm gonna have to go change everything I know about those that bracket.
Dude, I'm purely sold on St. Bonnie because of Jalen Adams. Honestly, I didn't even know about that second guy, Matt Mobley, until I looked at their stats. Dude also helps, but Jalen Adams,
in my head, I actually might have them in the Elite Eight now.
Because they play UCLA, which has Aaron Holiday, and that's going to be a nuts matchup.
That'll be a fun matchup, and Jalen Hands.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about just kind of guards, guard versus guard.
I mean, Jalen Hands is a guard.
Oh yeah. Let's see. That's how much I pay attention. But we'll go like one of the matchups of like just pure a guard versus a guard, Jalen Adams versus Aaron Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Could be one of the most fun games to watch out of all of the games. Just if you're going to highlight one player on one player, that'd be awesome. The only other one I can think about that I would have as much fun watching. Imagine if Mo Bamba and Aiton win against each other.
Oh my god, that'd be insane.
Like a Texas U of A, I think they
Aiton would absolutely dominate him, in my opinion.
I don't think they'd meet until the Elite Eight.
They would have to play in the Elite Eight, but it's possible.
That'd be cool.
I think Aiton would just like make him regret every decision in his life. I think Aiton is.
I agree. I think
Aiton is on a tier of his own in college basketball. Like he is by far like the best player in the country. Now, if we're talking about foreign, give me Luka Doncic. But, anyways,
yeah, you do love Doncic.
I really am a big Luka fan. Luka's a great guy. Yeah, I think honestly, yeah, State Bond has like if they get past UCLA and then beat Florida, I would have them playing SF Austin. And then I have Butler getting past Purdue, so then they would play Butler in the Sweet 16, and so that would be like a chance for them to go to the Elite Eight, and then probably playing either Alabama or Villanova, which I think was where they'd end their their tournament run.
I don't really have any like super Cinderella runs going on. Like I have New Mexico State going. What is that? Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. I mean, St. Bon or UCLA. Like the one thing that scares me about picking them over TCU is if I think UCLA plays or Texas Tech. Sorry, not TCU. If UCLA plays Texas Tech, I think Texas Tech wins. But if St. Bonnie wins out against UCLA, I think St. Bonaventure would be Texas Tech. So that's so hard to pick, and I hate that you have to pick the play-in games already.
Yeah, I think it sucks, but it's the curse we bear. Or
It's the cross we bear.
Cross we bear, curse we bear.
But I mean, I guess my other big one would be Nevada, but that's a 7 seed. Like they're supposed to go to the Sweet 16. Like I have Arkansas going to the Sweet 16.
I mean, no, Nevada's not supposed to go to the Sweet 16. They're supposed to lose to the 2 seed. But
yeah, but
I just
the
don't
2
think
seeds of Cincinnati and Purdue suck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all right. So I'll ask you this question: out of the 1 through 3 seeds in every bracket, we talked about Xavier getting bounced potentially by Mizzou pretty early, round of 32. Like,
yeah,
give me another one you think could happen. We've talked a little bit Alabama, Villanova, possibly as an 8 or 9-1 seed.
Well, I definitely, like I mentioned earlier, TCU could definitely upset Michigan State. TCU's been a pretty solid team all year. They just haven't been able to get over the hump, I feel like. But they could definitely shock Michigan State. Texas Tech, obviously. I think Texas Tech is the most likely of a 1 through 3 seed to lose.
Yeah, I would agree.
Besides Purdue and Cincinnati. Definitely the 3 seeds. I think they're the worst 3 seed.
I think the 2 and 3 seeds, well, actually,
Tennessee's also like...
I'll take half of the 2 seeds and half of the 3 seeds. All should not be there. Like UNC, Duke, 2 seeds, yeah.
I think UNC should be a 3 seed, though, and Michigan State should take that spot.
I could agree with that. But, I mean, I think the only reason is UNC... They both lost in the semis of their conference tournaments.
They lost in the championship game.
Did UNC end up going to the championship?
Yeah, they lost to Virginia in the championship, but they lost. It's not like they won their conference championship.
Yeah, but Michigan State got bounced a little earlier.
Did they? I thought they went
No, they lost in the semis to Michigan or something, or the quarters to Michigan.
Okay, that I feel like that shouldn't make UNC a step above them.
But actually, yeah, it shouldn't because the committee pretty much showed it doesn't matter how you finished.
Yeah, exactly. They lost 4 games all year. I just didn't understand why they were a 3 seed, and North Carolina, who lost 10, is Anyways,
whatever.
I think I have North Carolina in the Final Four. I have Duke in the Final Four. I have Nova in the Final Four, and I have Arizona in the Final Four.
We have one agreement on the Final Four.
Just one. We have 2.
Just one because I have Virginia over U of A, Gonzaga over North Carolina. Really haven't looked into it much, but just the depth of Gonzaga is really impressive so far. Michigan State over Kansas, which pretty much is just between Michigan State or Duke, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I have Michigan State beating Duke.
I had the Duke beating Michigan State.
And then I have Villanova coming out of theirs because
they have a pretty...
I think Villanova's got the easiest walk. I'm not going to lie.
They have some, they have an early challenge.
I think Alabama's going to be their hardest challenge. I really do. Or Virginia Tech. Whichever one of those 2 teams. Those are 2 really good teams as an 8-9 seed. One of those 2 teams...
I don't think the pressure is going to...
No.
See, like the only thing, if West Virginia somehow speeds them up, that's when it gets interesting. But I just don't think it'll happen.
I don't think they can. Villanova's so well coached.
Oh, I don't know why I just had a brain fart. I thought that was Virginia that they were playing. No, Villanova has no chance. West Virginia has no chance against Villanova.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, and then Final Four: Villanova versus Michigan State, UVA versus Gonzaga.
So you have Villanova winning it all?
I do.
I have U of A. I have Arizona. I think it's their time.
See,
I think
U of A
Aiden's-
always finds a way to choke, though.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, a team always does until they don't. Like, it's like really anything in the world. It's always this way until it changes. And so I think this is finally the time that they're going to Aiden's going to take them to the promised land. There's not a team in the country that can guard Aiden besides possibly Texas.
See, the only thing, so I would agree with U of A's time if they weren't put in the bracket in the spot they were. Like, if U of A was a 2 seed and didn't have to face a challenge until they got to the Final Four Elite Eight,
I think it's good for
then
them.
I'd give them. See, but I think they're going to get worn down first by Kentucky,
No.
and then they're going to have to go in and play University of Virginia's defense that will wear them down even more. And even if it
I
actually,
think then their Elite Eight matchup's going to be a breeze then if they get past those two.
if they get past those two, then yes, U of A will go Final Four, probably national championship, because
I really wanted to put Gonzaga in the Final Four. I just didn't think. I think UNC. I had them playing in the Elite Eight against UNC in that rematch of last year's championship game, and I really wanted to push them ahead. But I think, I don't know.
I think Gonzaga is just one team that's got the size to really stop Luke May.
I don't think Luke May's that good.
See, I didn't think so either, and then I went back and was
Luke
like,
May
he
just
did.
shoots.
He's just consistent. Like, it's not like he's gonna sit there and blow you out of the water, but
I'm
the
changing my
dude's
pick.
just consistent.
I'm changing my pick. Gonzaga's going to beat UNC. I forgot that Gonzaga's posts are Jonathan Williams. I think his name is just ridiculous.
They have two super good posts. It's Jonathan Williams and
Killian Tilly.
yes,
And
Tilly.
then- no,
those
they're
two guys
not-
are studs.
I watched them this year play Texas, and it went to overtime. It was a close game.
But did you say they pretty much like just ran down Bamba? Like they just
Oh,
exhausted Bamba.
Bamba was not a factor in that game. Like
see,
it was
exactly.
It was entirely their guards that kept Texas in the game.
Ooh, then imagine. So you have U of A beating Virginia, a Gonzaga U of A match between those big men.
See, I think Virginia's guards are way better than their big men. I think their big men are mad this year.
Oh no, I'm talking about U of A.
Oh, U of A.
Arizona.
I thought
Like
you-
for years,
Virginia.
Arizona, Gonzaga.
That'd be a tough game. That'd be a really tough game.
No, I agree though with
Did
your
they-
previous
I think they
statement.
might have played
UVA's
earlier in the
guards
year.
are way better. I
Did
think
they?
they might have too.
Did they? I'm like 50% sure. I know they have in the past. They usually play them in the
Yeah,
past.
they usually play.
But like to go through like
they might have played in the PK80.
I don't think they played in the PK80. I don't think Arizona was
No,
in the PK80.
it would have been one of the preseason tournaments. They might have been the tournament where U of A lost like their 3 straight and lost the 8th place game to Purdue.
No, but like early on, Gonzaga played Ohio State and beat them by near 30. They lost to Florida by 6 in double OT, and then they beat Texas in OT. But I'm trying to see if they played U of A. I don't think they
maybe they didn't. I don't know.
played Villanova too. Jesus Christ.
Dude, that's the other thing. Gonzaga's battle tested.
Yeah, they played a lot of good teams. They played a lot of good
See,
teams.
that's what I
in the
feel like.
preseason.
What's always up with Gonzaga is they always have a really good out of conference schedule.
Yeah, they make
Like
sure to
they
challenge themselves.
play a lot of the top teams and they always play pretty well.
So we have Jonathan Williams, their senior post, is absolutely ridiculous.
Absolute monster.
He dominates. Killian Tilly's a really good second piece to him. And then the guy they have coming off the bench, Rui Harichimura, is just so good. He's still a little raw, but I really, really like he can be the X factor for them coming off the bench. Josh Perkins, their starting point guard, is like a vet, experienced, can like go off for 30 in a game if they like needed guard play. They have this freshman, Corey Kispert. He's 6'6". He's the guy I showed you last week. Just
the dude who built like a
stacked.
tank.
Absolutely stacked. So he can play like a stretch 4 because he can go knock down shots and get rebounds. He's a really solid player, especially for a freshman. And then Silas Melson, senior from Portland, Oregon, he could just get hot all of a sudden and he could just knock down threes. I've seen it before. They're a solid team and there's not a team to mess around. I'm changing. UNC has no chance against them. UNC has Gonzaga to the Final Four.
See, thank you. Yeah, Gonzaga's in my Final Four too.
I agree with you now.
See, because I think I hope Mizzou wins because I'd love to see Michael Porter play against this team.
That'd be
I
tough.
don't think Mizzou really stands much of
I
a
don't-
chance.
I don't know. I don't know who would guard. It would probably be Kispert just because he's like 6'6", but like
Well, they have the other
oh,
Porter.
They probably played against each other in high school too. That's freaking wild. Because Kispert's from Edmonds, Washington.
Are they? Yeah, I know Porter's from Washington.
Yeah.
Actually,
So
it makes sense. He went to Gonzaga.
They might have played each other in high school, so that'd be freaking amazing. Oh my god,
Dude,
I'm so excited for that matchup already. Make it happen.
Yeah.
Scripting, make it happen.
At NCAA, we know like half the stuff's planned anyways. Just
Obviously.
make it go, make it come to light because that would be such a great matchup. But you're talking about teams that I'm selling you on, and another one I want to talk to you about is Arkansas. And
I don't think you'll sell me on this one.
I'm a big Arkansas believer because Arkansas has 3 very experienced guards. And then this guy named Daniel Gafford, who apparently, like, I'm not going to lie, no idea who he was. I just knew about their 3 guards. But this Gafford guy they're saying is going to be a lottery pick. Not this year, like later on down the road. He's a 6'11" freshman forward. And he's who's going to like help them win against Butler.
Can he shoot the ball?
I don't think so. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think he
Not
ever.
worried. Not
I don't
worried.
think he ever shoots a 3, but he averages 2 blocks a game. He averages a steal. He shoots 60% from the field when he shoots. He doesn't shoot that often, but he's their fourth go. He's like their 4th scorer. He's not a primary guy. And then they have 3 guards that they rely on to score.
I watched them play earlier this year. I watched them play UConn, and like it was just a blowout. They blew out UConn easy. UConn wasn't that good this year. I thought they were good. I mean, they were athletic. I just didn't think they were that great. I think Butler's also a really good, well-coached team. They have a guy who's averaging 20 right now and shooting 36% from 3.
Yeah, see, so you say that Arkansas, Jalen Barford, senior guard, averaging 18, shoots 43% from 3. Daryl Macon, senior guard, averaging 16, shoots 43% from 3. Like they have the guards to beat Butler for sure.
But I think if like you're talking about that post matchup, this guy's like a forward for them. I don't know if he's like their center, but if they make him match up against the big guy, that could be tough for him, and he could just go to work on him all game long.
See, but the thing that this guy's been helping Arkansas with is their defense, though. Like he's their 3rd best scorer, but they don't use him like that. They use another guard, Anton Beard.
But I'm saying, like, how often does this center guy have to like probably guard on the perimeter? Not that often.
Yeah, that's true. He's probably. I mean, you got to remember he did play in the SEC, but none of that. Does the SEC teams really have any like good stretch 4s? Because off the top of my head, I
mean,
can't really
Kentucky's
think of
got
any.
some long, taller guys that like stretch the floor, but like not in like a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe they do run him a little bit wild on the perimeter. And the other thing that does scare me about Arkansas, though, is outside of that Macon guy, they don't shoot free throws too great.
Yeah, if you don't.
So
shoot
if it
free
comes
throws well
down
in the
to that-
tournament, you're
But if they get the ball to Macon for free throws, the dude shoots 88%.
I mean, the post for Butler shoots 83%, which is really high for post. Like the rest of their starters all like shoot 80, except for one guy shoots 75. Their team percentage is 77%, which is really good for a team. I don't see them losing that game. This is the one you're not going to convince me on.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Arkansas is going to do it. But then I also agree with you in the fact that whoever wins the Arkansas-Butler game, I have them going to the Sweet 16.
Yeah,
Elite 8, Sweet 16.
This Martin kid, like who is their like probably their 4, plays a lot on the perimeter. He shot in 243s this year, and he's shooting at 36%. So, I like him.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the size of the 3 guards that Arkansas really relies
They're
on.
a little bit. They're shorter. I don't think they're that tall.
I think they are too.
I remember seeing them live, and I didn't think they were like height wise anything like.
Because that is
spectacular.
what I'll give Butler. Like Butler, they got some pretty lanky dudes who can stretch the floor.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see, 6'3", and wherever this Beard guy is, 6 foot. So yeah, so like they're not large guards at all.
Yeah.
But then I mean they have a lot of big dudes that they can throw up front. Like maybe I mean
I remember the play. They seemed like a very interiorly strong. Like in defense wise, they're interior strong. When it comes to defending the forwards, but I don't know if their big man can guard the perimeter.
yeah,
That's the biggest thing for me.
that's the thing. I don't know either. I mean maybe that's what does them in, but until that happens, I'm sticking with them. I think that
I like
because
your hard-headedness.
I'm a big believer of the veteran guards too, and they have 3 senior guards that they play. like 3 senior guards that start and play along with a freshman center. So it's like they have the 3 dudes who can lead this freshman and can get him the ball. And
it has
just
all
the
the
veteran
makings
leadership.
It has all the makings of a good tournament,
Of like the classic good
Cinderella team. Yeah.
Yeah, the classic tournament build. Like they have the senior like leadership and then a big guy. But again, like I'm scared because they can't shoot free throws very well, and that's always what it comes down to in these games is if you hit free throws. And Butler is a great free throw team. But I think that because Butler also like won a lot of games this year because of their defense and like the pressure their defense created. I think the senior leadership of running 3 point guards can get them out of the pressure. It can get them out of the press, and it can get them like down the court into like winning the game.
So who do you have for your final matchup again? Championship game?
Championship? I got Villanova, Virginia, but the Virginia's a soft Virginia pick right now.
Mhm.
Like I'm still not even convinced they get past U of A. But whoever they play in the Elite Eight, they're going to beat. And then Gonzaga is really good, but Virginia's defense has just been so scary.
I have Arizona versus Duke. And I think that might be like one of the most Bagley versus Aiton.
That would be an incredible championship matchup. 100%.
Are you kidding me?
A Bagley Aiton, because those are the two. I mean, you can maybe argue Bomba's up there, but those are, in my opinion, those are the two best
college basketball, like big men in college basketball. And then
they could even be the 2 best players in college basketball if you really want to.
Yeah, I would probably say that.
I could agree. I could get behind that.
And then you have I'm forgetting his name, but the other big man for Duke going against the other 7-footer that Arizona plays.
Yeah,
all the time.
it's Ristich for U of A, something like that. And then I can't remember the Duke guy's name, but yeah, like this would be the dream battle of front courts.
Yeah, I think it's Duke's. However far Duke goes, it really depends on how consistent their guards decide to play.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest.
Have been really inconsistent
If U of A does play Duke in the national championship, I think U of A wins purely because of their guards have the advantage. I think if U of A plays Michigan State, that could be tough.
Michigan State's big men are so good. That's like if Michigan State plays Arizona in the final, I think Michigan State could beat them.
I agree, and also because Michigan State has just a little bit better guards, like just a little bit better guards than U of A, because Michigan State's guards don't turn it over as much.
Yeah, the other forward for Duke is Wendell Carter Jr.
Wendell Carter Jr. Yes,
He's
that
really
guy is
good.
very,
Really, really
very
good.
good.
He's a top 10 pick too.
Well, when they were quote unquote Duke struggling, like the people who were carrying them were Bagley and Carter.
Yeah,
and then the guards kind of figured it back out, and then they started dominating again.
and then you have Grayson Allen, who could just all of a sudden go off for like.
He can literally go off
and
at any time.
Him versus Trier is a fun matchup.
It'd be a
Like,
great matchup, but then.
Gary Trent Jr. versus Rawkins.
But I mean, I would
who are their point guard is.
I would still give just the guards a slight advantage to U of A, because
Probably not. I'm not a huge U of A guards fan of this
No?
year. I think
I
Trier's
think
pretty good, but
I think Raleigh Alkins.
Rawley Hawkins is a murderer. He is absolutely.
Oh yeah,
should
that
be
dunk he had on USC that was vicious.
That was incredible, and like you see Aiden's reaction to it, he's like bending his head all weird and stuff. They were like losing their mind. It was incredible to watch.
Oh yeah,
It was absolute like body bagged.
See, but then my pick, if it's Villanova, U of A, it scares me, just because like it's DeAndre Ayton. Villanova, they're big, but they're not big enough to stop DeAndre
They have
Ayton.
no one to guard DeAndre Ayton.
The only way they could shut it down would be Jalen Brunson.
That's why
just dismantling their guards.
Yeah, that's why I think they won't get past Duke, because they have no one to guard Bagley. I mean, Bridges could maybe match up with Bagley, but then like
I think Bridges could handle Bagley better than he'd handle Ayton.
oh, absolutely. But like
100%.
But then who's gonna handle Carter is really the like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how big like the rest of Villanova is. I really only know
Their guards and Bridges.
yeah. Like I don't even know if they have any like big men they really bring off. Oh, they have Chris Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
No, wait, is he gone? No, he should still be there.
I don't think he's there still.
I don't think he's there still either. Okay, yeah, he is gone. Yeah, they don't have anybody over 6'9", but then again, they have like 5 guys at 6'9". So like,
Yeah.
Let's see who really.
So just to move real quickly, the women's bracket was released today. UConn, number 1 overall seed, of course.
Weird.
Other number one seeds are Notre Dame, Mississippi State, and Louisville, getting their first ever number 1 seed behind their guard, who's been just like incredible this year. Pretty much like this year's Kelsey Plum. But what's really exciting to me is South Carolina, the team that won last year against UConn in the championship game, matched up in the same region as Connecticut, which is just like building for a really great Elite Eight matchup. And then in the Spokane region, you have Notre Dame, the number 1 seed. But if they have to play the 2 seed, my Uvo Ducks, SCO Ducks, they would have to play the Elite Eight game in Spokane, Washington, which is not a close drive for Oregon, but closer.
It would be close enough to where they would make it.
Oh yeah, there'd be plenty of Oregon fans there versus Notre Dame fans, and that would be incredible to watch.
Oh yeah, I mean,
if the Ducks make it to the Final Four and have to play like UConn or South Carolina, that'd be. And also, Oregon's super battle tested this year. There are only 2 out of conference losses were to Louisville and Mississippi State, who are both 1 seeds.
Dude, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I didn't even know the bracket came out today until you really told me. But after watching UConn, what they did in their conference tournament.
But their conference isn't that good. Like,
I know, but don't forget, like, it's not like they won by like 15, 20 every game,
No,
dude. They won by like 40.
yeah, but I don't know. I just think obviously teams have a chance. It happened last year. It can happen this year.
That's true.
I think the Pac-12 has a lot of good like sleeper seeds because they got seeded low. Oregon State as a 6 seed. It's pretty like they could probably get to the Sweet 16. Who else was I saw? Cal is a 7 seed.
Yeah, Cal's a 7
That's
seed.
a tough matchup for South Carolina. The second game. Cal is a physical and just rowdy team.
Stanford's in there as a 4 seed.
Oh yeah, which I thought was like, wow, that's tough. But they play Gonzaga too, which is like pretty a fun game.
ASU's in as a 7 seed.
They'll probably lose to Texas in the second round, but UCLA as a
Texas
3
is so
seed could
good.
definitely make it to the Elite Eight against Mississippi State. So yeah, the Pac-12 well represented on the women's side. You know,
Of course.
I think the most competitive conference in women's basketball.
100% agree. Zero doubt about that.
From top to bottom, like coaching is just incredible, and like just the talent they get is incredible.
And then we'll finish out with some other sports news here because the Browns decided to go nuts.
The Browns decided to like actually like want to be good at football.
Dude, and their trades were good.
Their trades were good.
Like, it's not
So-
like they were just sending out one-sided trades. They made good trades.
I don't want them to draft a quarterback now. I think it's a bad idea to draft a quarterback.
They're taking Saquon Barkley 1
Like,
now for
if they-
sure.
If they don't, that's when we know the Browns are just loopy. Like, Saquon Barkley is a generational talent.
Yeah, he's got to be number 1 because Tyrod Taylor, not the greatest quarterback, but can win you games. He can.
He
He's
went
done
to
it for the
playoffs
Bills.
for the Bills last year.
The Bills' defense also kind of carried him.
But I mean,
But still,
the Bills.
yeah, no, he can win games for sure. They went. Jarvis Landry is a stud wide receiver, Pro Bowler.
Yeah, like that duo right there, and then plus Barkley. That's 3 really, really good offensive
That's
players.
your 3 offensive
and then
players
you still have
that
Joe
you need
Thomas,
to build
who's an
around.
All-Pro lineman.
You
at
got
left tackle.
Josh Gordon back at receiver 2.
If he ever decides to like not smoke weed,
I think now that he has Jarvis Landry, either
he'll
those
actually be
guys
like,
are going to
finally.
either he's going to try again or they're just going to be high all the time. So it's going to be interesting to see how those two work out. They have Corey Coleman still, who I think will turn into a good receiver, just never had a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went and got Demarius Randall, who was the best Packers corner safety.
Yeah,
he was like
that
a
was
nickel.
a good pickup.
And they traded him for Deshaun Kaiser. Like, they literally gave up nothing.
Yeah, Deshaun Kaiser is so trash.
So bad. And then they're going to come out, draft Saquon Barkley 1, and then my guess is probably Minka
Hopefully,
Fitzpatrick 4.
Who's Fitzpatrick? I have no idea.
He's the safety from Alabama.
Yeah.
He's
I was
the
gonna
best
say
safety
either
prospect.
either the best defensive player available or the best lineman available is what I would go for.
There's one lineman worth being picked in the top 5, and I think he goes 2 or 3.
But both those teams
but-
might pick quarterbacks, is what I'm thinking.
Actually, no, yeah. I think if Barkley goes, I think the Giants will probably take a quarterback. So maybe they do go after him, or realistically, the Browns could trade their 4 pick and move back.
They could.
Like,
Yeah.
Because
I-
now
I-
that they don't have a pressing need for a quarterback anymore, they could trade back.
Yeah.
And they could get a lot for that 4 pick.
Do you think Nathan Peterman's now going to start for the Bills?
No, the Bills have to. They traded up. They traded a tackle yesterday.
What pick do they have? So they're going to get
to the Bengals.
That'd be really funny if they just picked Lamar Jackson. It's like the same quarterback, essentially.
I told you. I think the Bills do take Lamar Jackson.
I think that's dumb if they do that. I'm going to be so upset.
But the
I just
Bills-
don't know why they don't like Tyrod Taylor.
Lamar will be a little bit more accurate of a passer.
I
and I
agree,
think he's
but it's just
faster. But yeah, it's like
It's like
why
you decided to start Nathan Peterman over him, really. That was the worst
Yeah,
coaching decision of all time.
Nathan Peterman should not start for the Bills. The Bills now have the 12th pick in the 22nd. They traded their 21st I think they swapped with the Bengals and also traded like one of their tackles.
The offseason move I'm most excited about is Richard Sherman signing with the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, I can't wait to watch Sherman play against the Seahawks twice.
I 100% believe he chose to go to the 49ers because he'll play the Seahawks 2 times every year. That's like the sole reason he went to the 49ers.
Dude, I was hoping he was going to go to the Browns.
And he looked at Jimmy Garoppolo smiling, and he's just like, I'm already in love with this man.
I agree 100%. He saw the smile, the hair, and he's like, yeah.
I'm okay with playing with the next Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I agree.
Dude, like I wouldn't be surprised if the
49ers
Niners
to
and
the Super Bowl next year.
The Niners and Browns might actually compete next year.
Niners-Browns Super Bowl next year.
Oh my God,
that would not happen.
I
but
think I
Niners
would
might.
hang
Niners
myself.
might. Niners might.
Niners might actually make a push. It'll be interesting to see where they go in the draft. Browns are actually going to compete. They might compete for a wild card 2 spot or like the second wild card spot because the AFC is so questionable now.
Yeah.
Especially the AFC West. No, they're in the North. AFC North. I mean, because the Bengals suck. The Ravens somehow suck. The Ravens shouldn't suck, but they do.
But Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco's
Joe Flacco
elite.
Sucks.
No, Joe Flacco's elite.
Joe Flacco sucks. Joe Flacco sucks.
No, like the Browns, they might surprise. Like I can't wait.
I
think
they
we're
could
still.
definitely make the playoffs.
Like I think we're still like a month out from the draft. Like I think it's usually late April. I have no idea what the actual date is, but I'm pretty sure it's always late April.
It's late April. It's like April 26th.
So like a month and a half out from the draft, and I cannot wait to see what the Browns do with their 4th pick. Because if they don't take Saquon Barkley, then the Browns just cancel out every move they made in the offseason.
Yeah, it's like, why would you? What are you doing?
Yeah, and then
think. Who do you think the best quarterback in the draft is?
I think Josh Allen will become the best quarterback from this draft, but Josh Rosen is the most pro-ready. Like, I think Josh Rosen can go in and start. I think if Josh Allen goes somewhere and starts, it's going to be a rough year.
I think both the USC and UCLA guys are bad. I think it's between.
I think Sam Darnold's super
I think
overrated.
it's between Allen and Jackson.
I think Lamar Jackson will be
I'm
good.
forgetting Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's could be good. He could be the next Russ Wilson.
I don't know if I go that far. I think Russell Wilson throws the ball much better than Mayfield, but I think Mayfield would get guys who want to play with him, and that's always huge in a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like,
I think Allen's definitely the easiest pick though, because his arm is just.
Did you
dumb.
see him throwing just 75-yard bombs
just
at the combine?
80-yard bombs for
easy
fun. For fun.
Easy.
No, but back to Richard Sherman, I absolutely thought there's no way in my mind that he's just not you know what? Screw you, Seahawks. I'm gonna go play for the Niners, and I'm gonna.
He 100% did it purely to fuck the Seahawks, dude.
I'm gonna beat your ass twice every year now.
Oh yeah,
he's that kind of guy. He absolutely because people were saying that he was looking at. I think it was the Patriots.
Yeah, they were thinking the other team was the Patriots, and I'm so happy he didn't go to the Patriots.
I was a little sad, but. I was when I heard the Niners, I'm like, there's no way he's going to give up a chance to play the Seahawks twice every year now.
With an up-and-coming team.
Oh, absolutely.
Not like he went to the trash 49ers.
No,
he went to the Jimmy Garoppolo-led 49ers who can actually win games.
If he went to the Rams, though, that would have been interesting, too.
Oh, if he went to the Rams,
49ers and Rams are going to be the best teams in this conference.
The Rams also made
that division next year.
Made, I think, 3 trades. They got rid of one of their linebackers, but then they brought in... Oh, did they? I think they might have brought in Aqib Talib.
I think so, yeah.
And then another corner. They got,
yeah,
I think, Marcus Peters. I think Marcus Peters from the Chiefs.
2 corners, and it was a really good move for them.
And now their defense is just dumb. So, NFL, can't wait for the draft. Next year, the 49ers and Seahawks might fight instead of play football more.
Honestly, yeah.
Dude, I wouldn't be surprised. And then...
But is this going to be Richard Sherman punching Pete Carroll in the face?
Maybe.
I'd
probably.
love to watch
He
that.
might punch
I would pay pay-per-view to watch
I bet
that.
you Sherman just punches the entire offensive line in the face for being so bad for the last 3 years.
He's like, you're the reason we suck.
Oh yeah, straight up. And then the last sports note we'll leave you on. The Philadelphia Phillies are trying to compete in baseball. They're pretty much the Browns, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know baseball.
No, they were good.
They were good in 2011, which is much more recent than the Browns. But being bad for 5 years in baseball is pretty rough. Oh, God, dude, it's not 5 years ago. It's 7 years ago now.
That's the Cubs.
But the Phillies went and signed Jake Arrieta, the best. I think he was the best free agent pitcher. I think he's better than Yu Darvish, but he's the best free agent pickup pitcher. And the Phillies are trying to put a roster together. They signed Carlos Santana, who's one of the best, who's second or third best power bat option. And they have a good young core. The Phillies might mess around and win 70 games this year. Probably not make the playoffs, don't get me wrong, but 70, 80 games, possible. And
I have no comment on that because Baseball.
Because baseball. Also, really quick for you, Shohei Ohtani, scouts are getting scared because he can't hit a curveball.
Because he can't hit a curveball? Well, then they just haven't pitched. I wouldn't be scared about that.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
It's like, all right, well, then cool. He just can't hit. Just have him pitch all the time. Okay.
well, the reason they're getting scared is because like everybody actually wants a two-way guy for once, and they're starting to realize it might not be able to happen.
Okay, that's fine. But, that's why, I wouldn't worry. Like, if he's bad at one of them, it's like, all right, cool. You can
He'll be fine pitching.
Yeah, like, he'll just do the other now, full
Yeah,
time.
He's still gross on the mound.
I mean, he's no Felix Hernandez hitting grand slams. So. That's all Felix does, you know?
That's true. All right. That
That's
wraps
our
it
time.
up. That's all of our time. Hope you enjoyed. See
Next
you
week,
here
we'll
next
have
week.
a lot of games to talk about. First round will be over. Starts tomorrow. The tournament starts tomorrow, actually, in our playing games. So we'll see if that same Bond pick of yours is going to play out, which I hope will. So
I hope will too.
thanks for listening.
See you next week.